Welcome!
Namaste!
I'm Jono Tho'ra.
And I am Sunflower Tho'ra.
And together,
we're the Tho'ras. And this, my loves, it's so much fun, is the Lunar Cycle Show. Yeah,
episode 3, people. Here we are.
Episode 3 is where
Episode
we
3.
be. Ooh, yeah. What?
This time, it is full moon, people. That means you've got the power to... What are you doing? Calm down.
But it's the full moon and lunacy. I am going crazy.
Why? It's just a full moon. Just because it's a full moon doesn't mean that the energy's like that. There's plenty of things that run off of the full moon, but it's not actually like that. I mean, like the full moon is just kind of a... That's beautiful. What's going on here?
I'm a werewolf because it's the full moon. Doesn't that happen?
I'm sure, probably, maybe. I don't know. But what really matters is that, oh my God, she's so cute, people. But yeah, so the full moon has many effects and also has many myths. And that is a reality that we all share.
Yeah, but I want to know about some real truth, some science about the full moon. Can we start there?
Oh my gosh, yes we can.
Lovely. So it's true that the full moon does have some effect on life here on the planet. For instance, owls and badgers, different kinds of plants like coral, and different land plants as well, different kind of marine life and doodlebugs, all are impacted by the lunar cycle. That can be in terms of breeding, in terms of eating and habitat. Sometimes even marine mammals that are taken out of the sea and put in laboratory settings will still be operating by tidal and lunar cycle types of cycles, even though they're not being affected by the actual tide and the actual moon isolated in a laboratory. How interesting. Furthermore, we know that there is what is called a moon cycle within all humans. This menstrual cycle, which is true for women and for men, we both have these cycles of hormones that change throughout our bodies. This is a little more well known for women because we have this whole thing where blood comes out of our body. Been experiencing that myself for a while. And this is also true for men though, not the blood part necessarily, but certainly the cycle of hormones. Then this could be called our moon cycle. They're very similar in length, around 28 days, and a moon cycle, as we know from earlier episodes of this lovely show, is about 27 to 29 days in length. So we don't know for sure. There's different studies that are back and forth on what is the link between these two things, but there are a lot of people that can tell you from firsthand knowledge that their individual moon cycles line up with the moon. Also interesting to note that as mammals, all of our mammal cells have a biological clock. So there's already this aspect of our being that is just in tune to the natural cycles of nature. I want to know more science though. That's not enough for me.
I think it's time.
Is it time?
It is time.
It's time?
Oh my gosh, let's go.
Super Science Fun Times.
This time our focus is on the moon and the earth and their relationship with each other.
For instance, did you know that in terms of gravity, the pull on the earth from the moon is 10 to the 20th joules? That's a heck of a lot of gravity.
Furthermore, like most objects within space-time lands, what happens when the moon orbits Earth is its elliptical orbit is constantly changing. Very much like this. It's just always changing. So the actual elliptical orbit almost has an orbit itself. And so that means that it's always in a slightly different position every time it's furthest away.
And the Earth isn't in the center?
No, it's kind of in the center. But in reality, Earth is actually moving relative as well, constantly.
Wow.
And so every time the moon's here, the moon actually pulls a little bit on Earth, making the Earth get a little closer. So they actually orbit with each other. They're orbiting each other. It's just, the Earth is much bigger, and it's just like I'm the champion of this corral, and you're gonna orbit around me. You better believe it.
Oh, Earth, always holding us down as the powerhouse that she is.
Mm-hmm.
I'd love to see her right about now.
Let's do it. So, imagine that this is the moon,
And this is the Earth.
and over there's the sun. And so, this moon orbits around the Earth in an elliptical orbit, very much like this. Gonna make it better. All right, yeah. And here's what happens. When it's over here and it's further away, and the full moon is occurring, which is basically because the entire side is lit up from the sun, what's happening is that as it's further away, it appears smaller. This is what's called a mini-moon. Now, you might have called the alternate term a supermoon. It's not really that close, folks. But basically, it's closer, and it appears bigger, thus super.
Also, did you know that while we are spinning on our axis and the moon is orbiting us, we spin on our axis in a certain way with only a small amount of wobble because of the moon, and that the moon makes sure that we do not spin too fast. In fact, without the moon, we would be spinning way faster, and our wobble would be all over the place, and we would have snow on the equator, and our weather would not be nearly as predictable, and it would be much more like Mars, and this would be very stressful. But the truth is, luckily, that we do have, there she is, the moon. And the moon keeps us with these nice 24-hour days and only a slight wobble on the spin of our axis. This is also how life started on Earth, because of the tides and the relationship between the moon and the Earth. I love the Earth.
Me too.
And the moon. Mwah.
I think it's time for the next part.
I think so too. Hey! We're back.
All right, now we're going to talk about some mystic awesome.
I love Mystic Awesome.
All right, so folks, this is what's called a strawberry mini-moon, at least for some parts, like in, America. So, in the Native American zone, there is a native strawberry which becomes most ripe during this particular time, this full moon. It follows the lunar cycle. Fascinating. So, it's not the only one, but it's most particular and most interesting because this was the one that they looked at, the natives in the environment, when they were looking to the moon and understanding what time to pick their fruits. Now, there's other truth here where if you're looking at the spiritual energy of this particular time, this is a time of strength. This is a time of fruition, where we have now this newfound energy, this newfound warmth, and the warmth is coming from the sun because, well, summer. And so, of course, this is a peak time where we get a lot of power. Now, what do we do with this power? Well, guess what? It's Sagittarius, and Sagittarius in particular is of the element of fire and alchemy. Now, that matters because fire is the power to action. It's this action, go kind of thing. And so you want to take actions. It's a very masculine energy in that way, that's active. And so what should you be active about? Well, you should be active about freedom because it's a mini moon. And so we're as free as possible from the Earth. That's what's going on. That's where that subtle energy is, in essence. Now, you want to use the power of affection, this warmth and affection. And you can use that in order to melt your chains. And so imagine the chains. What we're talking about is things like things that bind you, things that hold you back, and not just people, and not just jobs, not just physical chains, which hopefully you can actually melt with using the power of sunlight. I believe in you if you're going to be able to try it. I hope it works. But within yourself, the things that hold you back from within yourself. And this is a very rare mini moon. It's a strawberry mini moon, very rare. And the deal here is that you can use that to get into the deepest wounds. The deepest wounds you've ever had, these scars that you once thought were never healable. This is a perfect time to overcome that. And they're subtle, these subtle scars that you never thought could go away, that maybe you even forgot about. You can free yourself from that. And it's not just those things, it's all kinds of things. And because it's Sagittarius, we even know the different types of things that get affected. For example, anxiety, secrecy, malice, jealousy, lost energy, perversion, and trouble through relatives. So that is exactly what this full moon, this full strawberry mini moon is all about, and that is how you can use the power of this moon cycle.
That is so good to know. Thank you for that.
You bet.
Jono.
I think with that,
that's the show.
that's the show. We just did it.
The Lunar Cycle Show.
We just did a full
I love
moon
this
episode.
show.
We just did a full moon.
Come in. This is Ollie. He's our dog. Yeah.
The Lunar Cycle
Show.
Show.
Lunar Cycle Show.
Lunar Cycle Show.